Namaskaram. This is Dr. S.Bharath Narendra representing LiveRight Ayurveda Clinic at Guindy. In this YouTube channel, we are trying to post good content for all doctors, especially Ayurveda doctors. We will be trying to give out content which will help you in a financial prospect from a professional view, other than what you learn in your college. There will be content from other Ayurveda doctors, there will be content from other professionals, there will be content from, like today we are going to have a corporate trainer and an independent director talking about how we can conduct our business, so on and so forth. So let us jump into the program. Today we have Shri P.S.Suresh here, who is an independent director and a corporate trainer. So let's learn from him today. Okay. So Suresh sir, namaskaram.
Namaskaram, Dr. Bharath.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you, sir? How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's always a pleasure interacting with you and meeting you.
Yes. Same here. Likewise. So today, as we were talking, we'll set the tone for this LiveRight channel. What we are looking at is to create content for Ayurvedic doctors and all doctors alike. We would like to know how best we can conduct our business, in which places an Ayurveda doctor will need training and all that when they are going about their business on a day-to-day basis. Before we do that, Sureshji, we all would like to know a little more about you. Please give us a short introduction about yourself.
Sure. In fact, medicine is something which fascinates me because I could easily say that's one area where I've grown up through, because after my schooling and my college, I started off as a medical representative with Sandoz being the first company, then progressed on to other companies like GSK and Pfizer, ended up as a CEO of a pharma company. So that is something which has been part and parcel of my life virtually for about 40 years in my corporate career.
Wow.
Okay. So there are various facets of medical field that has really attracted me. So though I started as a medical representative selling pharmaceutical products, I was always fascinated in terms of how the other end looked at it from the perspective of a doctor, how they received the products, how they dealt with the patients, so what are all the skills that they have and what are the skills that can help them. So it's a very fascinating field. So in short, I have probably about close to 40 years of experience from the pharmaceutical industry, and I love it, I cherish it.
Amazing. So you were actually on the other side, but you were thinking from our point of view how we would receive it. So we doctors sit and hear to people who come and try and sell products to us. But you say that before you sell a product, you have to have the perspective of the person to whom you are selling it to. Is that right?
It's put it slightly differently in the sense, pharma selling is one area where you don't get to meet your end customers. Right? So my end customers are the patients with whom I have no connect. So I can't influence them also. So the influence for my end customer or the end consumer, I would say so, is the doctor. So unless until I know what the doctor thinks, what the doctor feels, and what the doctor values, I will not be able to sell or maybe project my product adequately well with the doctor. So that's why I started thinking from that perspective rather than only from a perspective of a salesman. So when I start getting into the shoes of a doctor, it becomes that much more easier for me to address their areas of concern, which is easier in a sales process once I address the customer's apprehensions or the challenges.
Amazing. Good. So today, Sureshji, we thought we will talk about three basic areas where we will need some training. These three areas are areas where I have always felt that I need some training in my initial years. Definitely life is a learning process. So I feel the doctors who are coming in new will need these three areas, these three facets as their trishul. They need all these three facets in their life. One is leadership skills. Leadership skills doesn't have to be part of only a leader. Even people who are working under them and people who have other people working under them and the whole hierarchy, I feel, must have a sense of leadership, this thing, and how do they develop that skill? That is a very important thing for me. It has given me tremendous experience and also a lot of success when I felt that I have good leadership skills, and when I'm able to influence people who are working with me. I will not use the word under me, because in our clinic, I feel I'm also a person who's working along with them. So this leadership skills is one thing, and the second thing is negotiation skills. Negotiation skills is also very, very important facet for a doctor. He or she needs to have this in his life. I feel this is all. I'm relating all this to my experience. You please feel free to cut in anywhere if you feel I'm wrong. And the third thing is about understanding people, understanding a persona, and then also relationship building. How do you relate to people, and how do you build a relationship? I think these three facets are of utmost importance. So, if you feel comfortable with it, or if you want to talk about it, I think we can start with leadership skills.
Yeah, of course. It's fascinating always to speak about leadership skills.
Before I ask you a question, how important do you think is leadership skills for anybody, for that matter of fact?
That's a primary activity or the skill that everyone needs, irrespective of the profession they are in. To tell you from a perspective of doctors, which you started off with saying that doctors need this type of skills, the entire medicine industry has evolved over a period of maybe the last 3 decades, I would say so. Today, a medical doctor is also seen as a professional as much as we see as probably any engineer or a chartered accountant. So earlier you used to have a tag of doctors are supposed to serve. So that entire connotation has now changed from a perspective of it's a business. So when you are in profession, when you do your own profession, you are in business. So it's a fact that we need to acknowledge,
Yes.
and also accept it. So today, if there is a doctor who is running a clinic or even a hospital, they are running a business. Let's be very clear about it.
Yes.
So when you run a business, obviously you need to have your leadership skills in terms of how do you manage.
So I'm cutting in here. How relevant you and very important you think is leadership skills for doctors, especially?
That's it. That's what I'm coming to basically. So when you say a doctor from a societal point of view is comparatively in an exalted position as compared to other professionals.
Yes.
The reason
Excellent.
being, you touch lives, you make lives, and probably also contribute to the society through your expertise. So it's very important that when you rise to that exalted position, you also are in a position to really serve in that capacity so that it is received well.
I'm remembering Spider-Man here.
Yeah, okay.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely. So when I need to conduct myself with respect to whatever position I'm revered with, I also need to have a lot of skills. To start off with is how I conduct in public. How do I conduct myself? So when I talk about how do I conduct myself, it comes from my attitude. It comes from my approach. So that is a very fundamental skill any human being requires. Okay. So when I talk about attitude, more important for doctors is also about the decision making skills. Because what happens is today with so much of options available, even for a normal treatment, sometimes the doctors probably are tempted to look at various options, and then they may lose sight of which probably is the best option they have to choose.
The problem of plenty.
Problem of plenty. So if I have to take an example in the sense, like if you want to treat somebody for, acidity something. So when you talk about, omeprazole, pantoprazole, rabeprazole, so many of those prazoles are there. Which one you choose? So you need to take the decision. That decision-making skills comes not only from data, but also from your experience, from your own expertise, the way you see it, the way you interpret what condition of the patient is, and accordingly do. So when you talk about attitude, you talk about decision-making skills, and more important for a doctor is in terms of empathy. When I say empathy, it is not merely from a position of how do you understand the patient, how do you make the patient feel better.
Exactly.
Many times the doctors stop at understanding the patient and then treating them, and then they think that their role ends there. But I always see you need to go further in terms of not only you treat or probably cure them, but you also make them feel better through some sort of a healing process or some engagement with them over there. So that added responsibility is there for you as a doctor. Yeah.
Do you think that this comes from two places? One thing is, as a doctor, I'm speaking as a doctor. One thing is that we are learned, we know the skill, what to do, and we know the options, what to do, and the patient is most of the time medically a patient is an illiterate patient, although they feel that some hours of Google research gets them more gyan than what we have, but still, is it a point of view of the doctor? Is it wrong? Because they are trained to do that, and if they feel they spend enough time with you and they know the symptoms, they know the medicines what to be given or what procedure has to be done. So, is it wrong for me to stop there, or what do you think? You want us to talk more to the patient, know them well, or where do you want the change to happen?
One of the key things for a leader is to bust the myth that goes around, be it in organizations or be it in your profession. So even typically you take an organization, okay, even if it's a manufacturing or a servicing organization, the role of a leader is to ensure that that unsure feeling in the people's minds are not there because of various rumors that may be going around or floating around within the organization or even outside. So a leader takes that responsibility of busting the myth. So from that perspective, when you talk about Google, people today tend to believe that Google is probably the final word, which you as a doctor know is not the one. And probably people who are more exposed to it also know that Google is not the one where you can depend as the final authority. Okay. Ultimately, Google can probably give you some directions because multiple people are putting in information across Google, and you do not know the speciality of the person who's putting in that information. Okay. So it's
Credibility, basically.
So it's very important when a patient comes to you with the Google information and says, okay, can I do this or can I do this? Not only you try to tell them that that is probably not the right thing, you also will have an added responsibility of busting that myth in the minds of such people so that they have more faith in you rather than fear in you. Because today what happens is people come to doctors mostly out of fear. What happens if I don't go to a doctor, if I don't get attended to, or if I don't take the medicine prescribed by a doctor? So it is the fear that drives people to a doctor.
Okay.
Instead of faith getting into a doctor. So I go to this doctor because I believe this doctor is capable of curing me, treating me, and then guiding me, more importantly. Okay. So from that perspective, when you ask the question in terms of do you have a responsibility or do you have a role in this? You have a much larger role because there is a lot of rumors that are floating around relating to the treatment, relating to the products over there.
Yes.
And I think you owe yourself to really burst that myth, and that's where again leadership comes.
Especially in Ayurveda, most of the people think whenever we suggest some medicine, they'll get lead poisoning. Okay, and some people think that they'll get mercury poisoning. I mean, there are 100% safe medicines which have undergone a lot of clinical trials and they have been time tested also in the pharmacopoeia. I think these are also some myths that doctors have to take some time and bust those myths also because they create fear.
Exactly, that's the point. See, today, in fact, my common probably the best example which I always take from what you said sometime back, ghee.
Yeah,
Ayurvedic doctors say take plenty of ghee.
exactly.
You go to an allopathic doctor, don't touch ghee.
So it is changing. There are people who are suggesting a little bit start taking ghee.
Is it changing because of Ayurveda? Or is it changing because they have accepted it? Okay, that's a reality. Okay.
They are maybe accepting it.
So if you say that it is changing and if they are also going along the Ayurvedic way, it's a good sign, I would say so, because ultimately it's going to benefit the patients.
Exactly.
Okay. And there will be clarity in the minds of the people.
Yes.
So these are many, as you rightly said, there are many such myths that people are still confused with which direction they need to go for.
So when a person has to be that leader and give the right gyan to the patients and give them the right information, unbiased information. So they have to be these people who are unbiased and they don't have that attitude towards patient that I am the doctor and all that. So do you think that kind of a mentality comes with years of training? This is number one. And two, when I say training, do you think doctors should undergo some business management programs?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely, because as I said, a business management program teaches you not only to manage your business but to manage your own self in the first place.
Yes.
Okay. So it's quite strange in India, particularly. You have management programs for engineers, you have management program for chartered accountants, but I have never heard a management program for a doctor per se. Okay, you may have a management for managing hospitals, okay, management program, but for each and every doctor, for them to really manage themselves and then subsequently manage the business, it's absolutely vital to have.
It is slightly growing nowadays. I am myself a part of one of IIM Trichy's programs, which is a healthcare management program. But it's not, as you said, it is a healthcare management or a hospital management. It is not a doctor. How do you manage your business? Yeah, right. I get your point.
So
it is in the way.
So that's very important for us because see, the world is moving towards a direction wherein things are going to be more complex. Things are going to be more transparent also, in the sense that information is available. But then we really do not know which one we need to really adhere to or follow. So that sort of clarity or that sort of information directive which probably you people need to do is phenomenal scope in that area.
So you're saying business management programs are an essential thing for doctors?
It will make the doctor even better. See, I always say there are two types of doctors. One is a good doctor, another one is a successful doctor. So, particularly from the perspective of a doctor, when I say it's a successful doctor is one who creates an impact on the society.
Exactly.
A good doctor is one who could be best in his domain. Do the perfect job, no doubt.
Yes.
But are they really creating an impact in the society?
Yes.
So, both the doctors, in terms of domain, they may be good. One doctor goes on extra step in terms of creating that awareness, creating that knowledge, contributing to the society. So that is something which is very, very important. One need to look at it from that perspective also.
So just not practice. If you are able to fare well in all the departments, may it be business, management, teaching, as you said, creating awareness, creating camps, and then also practicing. So these will be very important facets of any successful doctor.
Absolutely. See, because you are the ones, the doctors are the ones who are gifted with that opportunity to transform lives. I don't think any other profession has that opportunity. Right?
I understand.
So when you have that opportunity, see, there are two things. One is that you have an opportunity. The second thing, you have the skill. What is it that's stopping you really in taking that extra effort? It's only our thought process. It's only our own limitations in our mind which we have. I don't want to do it or I can't do it. Probably whatever it is.
Interestingly, when a patient comes to us, we face some challenges and we give them the best treatment that is available usually. Then there happens, no, I don't want this, I don't want a kashayam, I don't want a sorb, I don't want a bitter pill, and all these things. These kind of negotiations keep happening between doctors and patients. So, do you think this negotiation skills are also important for doctors? And whenever there is something I want to think about something, I inherently start with the question why. So, why negotiations take place? Why?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. First and foremost, negotiations takes place when there is no standard. Like, for instance, if I have to put it simply, when I give you a 100 rupee note, I expect you to give a change. You give me back 100 rupees.
Okay.
Because there is a standard that has been fixed.
Yeah.
So we don't negotiate. The same thing when I give you 1 kg of apple and ask you to pay, you will ask me how much.
Yeah.
Right? Because there is no standard rate that is fixed, which is acceptable across as a standard.
Yes.
That is one thing. Negotiations are always required because it is a perception, it is not reality. What we see is a perception. So if I am coming and selling you a product which I say is worth 100 rupees, you may say it's probably 80 rupees, 70 rupees, because that is what you perceive the value of the product to be. 100 rupees is what I perceive. So negotiation is always about perception, not about reality. Okay? So that is the first fundamental we need to understand. So why negotiate? Negotiation always happens day in and day out.
Yeah.
Whether it's in our home, whether it's in our professional atmosphere, or probably beyond that also. The reason being is that there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. As you said, you can cure a patient by a kashayam. You probably can cure a patient without a kashayam also. So when you say you want to give a kashayam, I as a patient, I don't want it, then you give me an alternative option.
I have to.
You have to, because you have one.
Yeah.
Assuming you don't have, then the scope for negotiation doesn't exist. So negotiations also happens when you have alternatives or with other options, which probably can be similar or equal to the what one desires about. So from that perspective, doctors negotiate primarily with the patient based on the patient conditions, patient's need, and their own resources levels. Because the doctors also need to understand sustainability of the treatment which they are able to give. Like for instance, if you're treating a patient who do not have much resources with a high-end level of treatment, and then they have an immediate relief, unless until they sustain it, they may not be able to find the relief consistently or maybe permanent. Are we going that direction of treatment, or are we trying to treat with them something which is affordable, maybe slightly longer?
Yeah, this happens in day in and day out.
Day in and day out.
Yes,
So when I say negotiations, it happens primarily because there is also an interest involved. Many people confuse negotiation with bargaining. Unfortunately, many people say anything bargaining is becoming a negotiation these days. See, when you bargain, there is no interest between each other. So I go to a shop, you sell at a particular price, I bargain at a different price, I come out and buy, and that's it. There is no relationship.
Yeah.
There is no interest. In negotiation always is linked to a relationship primarily.
Yes.
Because we have a mutual interest for each other. Okay, our interests are linked, and once we are able to come to an agreement, a relationship forms.
Yeah. So when you say these negotiations are happening at every level in every person's life, in family, at home, your workplace, when you meet a friend, wherever, when these negotiations happen in all the places, shouldn't there be a process where I can be effectively ready for these negotiations? How do I train for this? How do I get myself ready for this?
The first and foremost thing one needs to understand is that there is an alternate opinion that is possible. So whatever I say or whatever I think is not final. Okay? Somebody else can have a different opinion, different thought process, which can even be better, which will evolve, and then we'll let you know. So the first mindset for me is that I should be willing to look at things which are different from what my perception or my thought process is.
Very interesting. Let me cut in. I always thought negotiations is like I put forth something and I should be very stubborn with what I say. 10 rupees, I say 10 rupees. I thought that was negotiation.
So that is called as my way or the highway.
Yeah.
So negotiation means, that's what I'm saying. You give a room for somebody else to present their point of view.
Interesting.
See it from their point of view. If that point of view is not acceptable to you, make your point of view acceptable to them. If you feel or if you perceive that whatever, as you said, 10 rupees is the right price, are you influencing them to look at it that way?
I think I'm doing the second one always. The first one, I think I need to learn. I'm trying to accept how that other person's point of view could be right.
Yes, and see, they may probably carry impressions which may not be right,
Yeah.
and you have an opportunity to correct them. And once I'm corrected, once I'm given the right information or probably right input from you, I may tend to change my mind also.
Yes.
And then come back to you again. Right? So it's instead of saying this is what it is, either you take it or leave it. That is not at all negotiation. Okay. Instead of that, if you say, okay, this is what is my offer, which is probably different from what you are expecting over there, but then my offer has this additional value or advantages which probably can add value to you or to your organization. Then the person on the other side will be tempted to look at your point of view, and you must still reach an agreement.
Interestingly, whenever a patient comes for any kind of treatment, for example, you can take infertility or you can take neck or back pain where there is a slip disc. The common word is slip disc. It's an intervertebral disc prolapse. So when there is a disc prolapse and the patient comes, we usually suggest them, in allopathy they have surgery. We avoid surgeries day in and day out in this place. So I suggest them either you can take medicine for a long time or you can undergo panchkarma. But panchkarma is slightly a costlier affair. So when I tell my patients, when I get the time and when I explain to them what are the benefits of having panchkarma, and then I tell them you have these things and you get well very soon, although you might be spending a little bit extra than what you're thinking, but you will end up having a good cure from this. And how do you not relapse to the same place, and how do you protect yourself from that also we teach you with exercises, regular application of oil, sometimes some physical therapy and all that. So patients tend to definitely, at least 7 out of 10 times, they tend to accept this. So is that what you're trying to say? You explain that.
See, again, going back to the earlier point which you said, when I thought about negotiation means I give my rate or probably my offer and this is what it is, you accept it. Now, when do you do that? One, you do that when you are comfortable without that business. Okay. So today I come and tell you something, this is my offer, either you take it or leave it. Means that business, even without that business, my business is good. I'm comfortable. So I probably don't need this additional business. So when that is the position you are taking in based on your strength, maybe the demand for you or for your services are more than what probably you are supplying. Right? So you have more patients knocking at your doors, trying to probably take a expensive treatment. There something probably, another patient who doesn't want an expensive treatment but want to negotiate with you for something else, and you don't have the time. Okay. Possibly. That's one way of looking at it, the demand versus supply. Okay. So if the demand is more than the supply, obviously you can take a position saying that this is what it is, either you take it or
you say the equilibrium, the price equilibrium will change according to the demand and supply.
Of course, yes. Not only price, our behavior also changes.
Yeah.
If the same situation is reverse, so you have a clinic where the occupancy rate is less than 40% or 50%, I walk in.
I wanted to ask this question because, see, a doctor who has been practicing for 15 years, sometimes 20 years, he will not face this problem. So how does a newbie, a person who is coming in, a rookie or a person who has just come out of training for 2 years, 3 years under another doctor, how does he or she negotiate when they don't have enough patients coming in? They don't, like how you said, they don't have full capacity, they are running at 40% capacity. How do they negotiate?
So when you talk about a new doctor who probably wants to build up a business and competing with, as you say, 10 years, 15 years experienced doctors, so why does a customer come to a new doctor? For 2 reasons. One, probably they can see better value. Because a doctor who's educated 15 years back and a doctor who's educated recently probably can contribute more, can have more value. So probably I expect the doctors to be more knowledgeable compared to the doctors who studied about 20 years, 15, 20 years back. It could be one possibility.
Definitely.
The second possibility a patient may come is that, okay, because that infrastructure is bigger, they charge more, and because this infrastructure probably is not as much, they may charge this.
So other than these two reasons, I also feel one of the more practical reasons for patients to visit doctors is proximity. Rather than having a person, a good doctor who's 15 years, 10 years practicing doctor, 10 kilometers away from me, I have a doctor who is 2 streets away from me and from the same, if they are from the same discipline, then I sometimes tend to, as a patient, I sometimes tend to go to the new doctor or even the rookie or who's just started practicing rather than the other two reasons you said. You think that is also one of the things that will
Yeah,
influence?
absolutely. See, that's how the other areas develop, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, when you go to newer areas, you need to have doctors there in that area also to serve the patients there. So that could be one option. But then when you go for that option, probably you go to that option because you are not in a position to travel to other locations. So you go to such doctors without much of expectation, only because of the reason that it is nearer to you or convenient to you, not because the doctor is more capable or not because for other financial reasons over
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
So that is also possible, and that's how you need to keep developing, obviously. So even that doctor who establishes, probably in a slightly rural area or probably in an area which is on the outskirts of the city, they need the support of the local
Yeah.
community. So the local people, unless until they go to that such doctors and then develop faith in such doctors, they will not be able to grow.
Yeah.
So it's a situation wherein somebody makes a beginning as a business from that location. Yeah.
So when you said the leadership skills and negotiation skills are very important, one thing I picked up is when a patient tries to go to a new doctor, even because of the proximity. So it just popped in my mind, if this doctor would have had a good leadership skills and the negotiation skills, and if the doctor would have had a good relationship with the patient, so if they will have a good understanding of the patient and a good relationship building with the patient, I think the patient would have still gone to it. It has a good chance that the patient would have gone to the same doctor even though they are far away. So, how relevant is relationship building with customers in today's modern era, today's modern world?
Absolutely. Relationship is what, that sustains business, basically. So it is required for any business. The reason why I'm saying this is that when you talk about relationship, it is not something that is built overnight.
Yeah.
Now, contrary to popular belief that no relationship drives business, I'll always say it's the business that drives relationship.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So unless until I have a business connect or a business interest that brings me close to you or you close to me, the relationship will not get developed.
You have to give some context there. We always thought it is the other way around. So you're actually busting a myth here.
Yes.
Can you give me some context there?
Let us say that we both are friends.
Okay.
And you are in, say, a business which is more of Ayurvedic treatment,
Yeah.
and I'm into business, which is more of corporate training and consulting. Okay, we have been friends, we have a relationship, but does it really translate into any business relationship unless until we support each other in business? So what happens is such relationship can only be at the personal level. Definitely will not be at the business level. So we are talking about that relationship being more of a personal in nature, which has got no impact on the business. Let's look at it the other way around. I refer you few customers, few clients, and you do good business, and you refer me
Some
a few
clients.
clients with which you do business. Then we start working on a business relationships.
Yes.
Right. So when I work with you, and then you probably treat or probably cure my patients to the best of your ability, and they are also highly satisfied, I'm going to give you more references.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak more about you to others. Same thing with you also, right? So that's how I said, the more I do business, the more we get into business relationship.
So it is the business that will drive the relationships,
Yes,
rather than the relationships driving the business.
business. So because I said, I've been in touch with you, we have been friends for last, say, let us say 10 years. Somehow I'm not giving you business, somehow you're not giving me business. It clearly shows that we don't trust each other's capabilities.
Okay.
Okay?
Interesting. Very interesting.
Because and if I trust your capabilities, in last 10 years, at least I would have sent a few people there to whom I know and then referred saying that, okay, try and take treatment from me, we will be the best. Same thing with you. So that relationship which we talk about, it is only on the personal level. We feel comfortable with each other on personal level. But are we really extending it to business? Right? Likewise, if you come to real business, so a supplier-buyer relationship, even in an organization.
Yeah.
So I would definitely like to associate with a supplier as a buyer, where I see that there is a lot of potential with them. to cater to you and my future needs.
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
So if there is a supplier who is a common supplier, a commodity product supplier, I will not spend time with them to build relationship because I got 10 other people supplying the same product. So even from a, as I said, an industrial perspective, relationships are important because when I have a futuristic requirement, when I see somebody willing to work with me to develop such products for me, that makes my position much easier. Right?
Interestingly, one more thing I wanted to understand when you said business is what drives relationships. So, what does a doctor do when he gets somebody very personal? For example, their own relatives or people, their friends are staying in the same apartment complex. When they come to get treated, is there a different approach? Is there a different perspective? They are more close to us. Then you cannot be very objective at times, right? So, is there any change in the way I approach that relationship?
It depends. I will not do that for the simple reason I am telling you is that. See, we need to clearly distinguish between what is professional and what is not professional.
Exactly.
So when I come to you for some guidance relating to medicine, I am seeking and coming to you as a professional.
Exactly.
So it is my duty to respect you as a professional and then do appropriately whatever I need to or what I do to other professionals. Right? The personal aspect of it, I don't bring into the picture when I treat you or when I approach you as a professional.
Yeah.
Now, why I approach you compared to other professionals is possibly because of the trust and the confidence I have in you. Because we know each other, you will probably give me more attention and give me the right guidance.
There isn't the relationship driving the business?
I'm coming to the point.
Yeah.
Right? When I say the relationship driving the business is, when I have a relationship with you, probably as you said, a relative relationship or maybe a long-term friendship relationship, I'm coming to you when I'm in need.
Yeah.
I'm not promoting your business.
Exactly.
I'm only taking care of myself. True?
Yes.
So when I take care of myself, am I really promoting a business? No. So when I say business relationship, there has to be a business interest involved between the two of us. If there is no business interest that drives or probably which is involved in our relationship, that is not business relationship. Okay. So here when I come to you, professional based on your capabilities, pretty much the same way you treat me like your other patients. Only thing is that because we know each other, you probably give an extra attention.
True, true. So, in this relationship thing, I always find any relationship for that matter, it can be a doctor-patient relationship, it can be a father-daughter relationship, husband-wife, friends. I always find relationships are a bit complex. Not every time, every person reacts in the same way to the same situation, even though if it recurs again and again. Same person acts in different ways at different times. Right?
Is it okay or is it not okay with you?
Oh no, that's each person's. That is each person's perspective. What I'm trying to say is this makes relationships a little bit complex. Okay, so you know what happened last time. You have some gyan from this thing, but you have in Ayurveda we call this smriti. You have smriti, and you have the buddhi to this thing. You see which is good and which is right and wrong. But sometimes you don't know whether the person is going to react the same way the next time. So this makes relationships a little bit complex than what it should usually be. At least for me, it does. So in this complex world and in this competitive world, how do you think we can sustain these relationships? Any relationship for that matter?
Primarily, it's our approach. When I say approach from both the sides. Okay?
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying this is because you have answered the question in the first half of itself, saying that people react differently at different situations. Once I understand that, I don't attach anything, I don't carry a baggage anything about your behavior when I meet you the next time.
Yeah.
Right? Let me give you an example in this sense. Now, let us say you're getting back home today. Okay, you have a 5-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Who comes, you had a fantastic day in office. Okay. So the doctor comes and hugs you. Okay, and you feel very happy. Okay, you spend some time together. Everything is good.
Yeah.
The next day you had a very bad day in office. You go home, the same doctor comes and hugs you. You feel that by day, hey, come, don't disturb me. Just leave me alone.
Definitely some difference is there. I might not hurt her, but yeah.
You say that this, don't disturb me. Leave me alone.
Some difference, definitely. Yeah.
The daughter is puzzled. Same daddy. Yesterday was fine. Same daddy. Today he asked me to go away. What should I do?
Yes.
No, the reason for your behavior with your daughter is not the daughter.
Yeah.
Is something which is external, which has happened to you.
Exactly.
When we carry that back home, then those things happen what you say. And again, typically what happens, your wife would come and tell the daughter, don't ever go to him again.
I think every father faces this.
Happens?
Yeah.
Right? So, neither the daughter is at fault,
Yeah.
nor your wife is at fault.
Yeah.
The fault is with us. We try to tell them, why are you misunderstanding me? Because you're not sending the right signals.
Yeah.
So once people behave differently at different situations, not because they want to behave, but there is some trigger, some external stimuli which is making them behave. Once we understand that, I don't think that relationship is going to be complex.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes complex only when we take one particular behavior and stigmatize that behavior with the person.
Yeah.
So the person may have behaved you very good with you 10 times. The 11th time, probably because of some external problems, they may not have respected you, they may not have treated you well, or probably they have behaved with you differently. And you forget all the 10 times and then you stick with only the 11th time. And you stigmatize the person. No more I'm going to have a relationship with that person. We make it complex. So it's a question of how do we understand? Understanding people is complex. I do accept that.
Yeah.
But are we adding to the complexity more with our own thought process?
And how do we sustain?
That's what I'm saying. You will be able to sustain once you accept the person as a person on that particular day. The same person tomorrow when they come out, they could be a different person. Accept them as the different person at the different moment. Move ahead. So don't carry the baggage of yesterday today and then try to treat them with what happened yesterday. Treat them with what is happening now.
Now, corporate training has become like yoga. It is the basic, this thing is yoga. You accept things where and how they are.
Because what happens is, you really do not know, or you can't really, number one, undo what has happened already. If at all you need to do something, you can only do what is happening in front of you now and what is likely to happen. Right? So if that person is behaving with you nicely in front of you now, accept that. Why try to bring in something which has already been done or which is already over? Because everybody changes. As you rightly said, the mood changes. Every minute the mood changes for people.
Yes.
And that is various reasons are there for the mood to change. And when we introspect ourselves, we also probably would have behaved similarly in different circumstances in our past.
Yes.
How did people accept us?
Sometimes they did, sometimes they did not.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when people don't accept it, maybe they make things more complex for themselves. We don't need to bother about it.
One more thing is popping up in my mind. I'll keep this as my last question. When a doctor invariably goes through success and failure. When there are specific cases that at least I have felt this in my practice, to be very honest. When I have a series of failures in a specific type of case, when a new patient comes in for the same complaint where I failed for the last 2-3 patients, I failed to treat them properly. I have used the best of my knowledge. I have used the best of the drugs that I feel is right. I've used the best of the procedures, Panchakarma and all that. I still might fail somewhere, right? Even, for example, even the best of vaccines might not work in all the 100 persons when you give. It's not 100%, it's 70, 80, right? So there is a percentage of failure for everyone. How do you fail and then still put up a strong face to the next patient who comes and keep that relationship going strong, and you sustain that relationship? You know that you have failed there and the patient is trusting you. And how do you go about that?
Okay. So when you say the word fail or a failure,
will this also help the leadership quality and the relationship building and the negotiation skill will also help there? That also I wanted to add.
Absolutely, the leadership skill is going to help you here. As I said, in the decision making skill also. So, as I said, when you use the word fail or failure,
Yeah.
compared to what we normally think it's a simple term,
Mhm.
it's got a very big and a much deeper meaning to the word. As you say, when you as a doctor has failed, where did you fail? Did you fail in terms of not properly diagnosing? Did you fail in terms of not probably noticing the symptoms? Did you fail in terms of understanding whether the person can put up with your medications or not?
Mm.
So there are multiple facets to your failure.
Yeah.
Are we really analyzing that?
Analyze.
For us to come out of it and then make the corrections.
Mm.
So instead of just to understand you correctly, if I say if I come with you, I come to you as a patient and you give me a certain medicine, let us say for fever, and I come back to you and say it is not working with me. Why did it fail? Why did it not work with me?
We analyze, yes.
That is what is an analysis you need to do rather than saying I failed with this patient, so I may fail with the next patient. Maybe the next patient you have read the symptoms correctly, you understood it correctly, it can still work. So when I say failure, that's actually a signal for you to introspect and go deeper, which is where your decision making skills, your leadership skills count.
Mm.
If you don't attach that importance that okay, that things can go wrong, or probably I have gone wrong in XYZ area, you will not be able to correct it.
Yeah. So finally, I think we have reached this end of this conversation. I would like you to give your unbiased view, what you think about these three things that we had: the leadership skills, the negotiation, and the understanding. How any person has to go about using these things in their business. You can give a concluding remark for this without my interruption.
Okay, I mean, in terms of connecting the dots, I would say so. The first and foremost is very easy if you start leading yourself. When I say leading yourself and doing the things that is going to take you forward from an ethical perspective again. Okay, so there is always an ethical angle added to a leadership when we talk about it. So you first lead yourself in a way that is actually taking you forward, and alongside you can take others also who are associated with you forward. Then obviously you are leading yourself. The beauty is when you start leading yourself, you also build relationships.
Yes.
Right? So when the relationships are built, so it means that as you said at the beginning, the more the relationship, the more the responsibility also. So when there is a mutual respect, there is a mutual responsibility towards each other, to each other's commitment to growth, things become much easier for you. And when relationships are established, negotiations become much easier.
Mm.
Because the understanding becomes much easier. There will be a lot of give and take. Okay. So the key to any negotiation is give and take. Am I willing to give? Are you willing to give? So then we are able to meet at a common point. If neither of us are willing to give, then we will be sticking to our own position. Then there will be no meeting point. So but once there is a relationship, it is easy for it to go, okay, I'm going to give it only for you, so be it. And you are going to say, I'm going to give it only for your sake, so be it. So that if you have that proper relationship built in, negotiations also becomes easier. And when negotiations are easier and you're able to get things done, business only flourishes.
Superb, sir. Very, very deep conversation here
Thank
today.
you so much. In fact,
And we're very happy to have had you here today. It has been a very intriguing conversation. I'm very sure that these viewers who are going to view this, the doctors who are going to view this, it is like a textbook of management. It is that they have gone through in this one single hour. It is at least a bird's eye view to start.
we have just scratched the surface
Yeah, exactly.
of the subject.
So they will definitely be intrigued to look into these things, I feel, after this 1 hour session. So thank you, Suresh.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Any guidance, any support, anything you want anytime, I'm always with you.
Yes.
Thank you
yes.
so much, doctor. Thank you so
Namaskar.
much. Namaskar.
Thank you so much.